sometimes I wonder if that kind of protects these companies in a way, because people become really attached to drugs like this, especially if they do see it as helping them, and they kind of, they will attack critics of it, including people who have taken it and then suffered side effects. And, if they talk about it on social media or something, they will get like dogpiled occasionally by others who have had better experiences. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic. And I wonder if in a weird way that kind of shields these, to some degree, it shields these companies from liability in the age of like social media. And because there's just as much pressure on men. Yeah, there's just as much pressure on men as there is on women to look a certain way. And to a degree, that's fine and good. People should take steps to take care of their health and be fit. But I think that's part of why in this case, I mentioned this, that maybe you don't hear about this stuff as much as you should, is that it's men. And I think men are much more reluctant to discuss this sort of stuff. I think
there's more of a stigma around men kind of, taking care of their looks, where women in current society are just expected to. But this also raises the question of all the controversy right now surrounding Ozempic and, this allegedly miracle weight loss injection, and, what people are experiencing in terms of really damaging side effects. And I've seen some people on social media saying, there's going to be a lot of, class action lawsuits against some of this. And then also the social media influencing that, that you mentioned, Pedro. Well, I certainly understand why people want to conform to society's overall expectation, especially in the age of everything being so online and all of the critics and all of this stuff. But there is still a measure of accountability for individuals. I mean, get healthy, but get healthy in a healthy way. It's like America is so used to just having a wonder drug rather than actually putting in the difficult work of going to the gym or dieting or exercise or actually living a healthy lifestyle or, all of these things. And so Big Pharma, it seems like, is just capitalizing on a social media influencing pressure that is just amplified in our current society, that people really just need to outright reject and say, we want to get healthy, but what does health actually mean? And so, overarchingly, then this kind of gets us back to RFK Jr. and the whole Make America Healthy Again. And what does the term health really mean? What's your view of him overall? I mean, I know he's a controversial nominee for a lot of different reasons, but, just in this context and maybe more generally, what's your view of him as a nominee and the MAHA movement?
In the sense that when you look at what he's talking about, he's basically talking about things like this, about pharmaceutical companies not being transparent regarding the side effects, and basically relying on lobbying in order to cover that up and to silence critics. He's talking about chemicals being in our foods that are objectively horrible for you, and are banned in other countries. There's a lot of stuff that, as Americans, I think we have a reflex to say, well, I don't care what the Europeans are doing, they're stupid. But there are a lot of things that we consume, whether it's in like cosmetic products or food products, in the United States that are illegal in Europe, and for good reason, because they're known to cause like cancer or to destroy fertility, and or to contribute to birth defects. And so for good reason, they're illegal in Europe. And my wife she's born and raised in Germany, so she is German, not like descended from Germans or something that came to Ohio or the Midwest. She's actually German, and she's very conscientious about this stuff, and she always reads the labels on everything, especially like stuff for our kids, because we have 3 kids, including a 1-year-old, and she's just shocked at the stuff that is available, because she'll just always say like, this is, you can't consume this in Europe because it's known to really hurt the physiology of children, and or that this is like a known carcinogen, and it's just you literally can't find some products in places outside the United States. And the thing is that she knows, that I think anybody who pays attention to this stuff knows, is that these products like this are often cheap and they're readily available. And so for a lot of people, they're attractive alternatives to healthier products, which tend to be a little bit more expensive. But you get what you pay for. And you might say, like, well, that's it. Like, let people buy things that are cheap, knowing that, you know, they are what they are. But I really disagree with that. I have a problem. I have a moral and ethical problem with companies putting stuff in all of our products, knowing that they're going to kill you over time, over a long enough time frame, or make you really sick, or make your kids sick, or even make you addicted to them. Because that's another thing too, is like oftentimes in terms of food products, the stuff that is in these products are also making them more addictive. And I don't know how you can disagree with any of that. So,
Yeah.
common sense.
Well,
Getting rid of that.
absolutely. And this is why we need to have informed consent. We need to know about the side effects. We need to know about what's in our drugs and our food and in everything else. Because I think the vast majority of common sense people would weigh those pros and cons and say, yeah, I really don't want to take this and suffer the consequences. So Pedro Gonzalez, really appreciate your reporting on this. The pharmaceutical feminization of males, you can find it at readcontra.com. We'll be right back with you.
While we rejoice that Roe was overturned, the pro-choicers are very energized. They are winning the arguments and elections. We need to win them back. The people who bring you Wretched Radio have produced a powerful, persuasive, and proactive 13-lesson video series to help.
You don't need a PhD to tell you the human life is more valuable than the life of the ants.
Order Life is Best at shop.wretched.org. And listen to Wretched Radio Saturday nights at 10 Central on American Family Radio. The Awakening with Bishop E.W. Jackson.
We have not been made the greatest nation in the history of mankind by denigrating God. We have become the greatest nation on earth because we are a nation that acknowledged Almighty God to be the source of our values, our rights, our liberties, and that therefore we are accountable to Him.
The Awakening on the podcast page at afr.net.
Faith, hope, love abide these three, but the greatest of these is love. My name is Abraham Hamilton III, and this is the Hamilton Minute. Karl Marx, an emissary of evil, and Charles Spurgeon, the prince of preachers, were evangelists of diametrically opposed messages. Yet they both lived in London at the same time. In fact, when asked the name of the person he most detested, Frederick Engels, Marx's cohort in chaos, responded unequivocally, Spurgeon. A generation later, George Bernard Shaw, a hardcore communist, seethed in hatred for William Booth and his Salvation Army of volunteers. Time and again, robust Christian witness has been the inoculant against the proliferation of Marxist poison in society.
Listen each weekday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central for the Hamilton Corner with Abraham Hamilton III, public policy analyst for the American Family Association.
Maybe you can relate to this. A lot of people can. They feel like their health care costs are just out of control. And if you're 65 or older, there's actually some great news about this. You can sign up for MediShare 65 Plus and save big in the new year. MediShare 65 Plus is a healthcare bill sharing community. It's trusted, it's faith-based, and it's saving people like you thousands on medical expenses. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know out-of-pocket expenses add up